Hi, it's Jeff Waite here again at stockideas.org, and today I want to do another quick finance and investing book review for you. And today we're looking at Trend Following with Managed Futures, The Search for Crisis Alpha by Alex Greyserman and Kathryn M. Kaminski. So regular viewers will remember that a couple months ago I reviewed Trend Following by Michael Covell. I really enjoyed that book and have been sort of exploring adding trend following components to my own investing or sort of, I guess, adding technical criteria more to my own fundamental-based investing, and trend following is the subsegment of technical analysis that I'm finding to be of the most interest, and where I'm finding the data to be the most compelling in terms of performance and risk to rewards, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to read this book and really do a deep dive into pure trend following. So although I'm primarily investing in stocks of companies, actual pure trend following is done in the futures markets. It's completely diversified across all sorts of different markets, from commodities to equities to equity indices to currencies, the whole gamut. So this book is a really great introduction to trend following, and beyond that, a deep dive into it. One thing I would note is that this book really is geared towards a more institutional audience. So if you're working at a fund of funds or a pension fund or some sort of institutional buy-side institution, and you're looking at allocating funds into trend following managers or CTAs, then this definitely would be a book that you would want to read. For the average retail investor or trader, this probably goes a little bit deeper than you need. It's packed full of graphs and charts and tables. I think this is representative of pretty much the whole book. Some of them I wish were a little bit more clear or explained a little bit better, but I understand the authors wanted to keep the book under 400 pages, and they are big pages, so it is a little bit dense. That said, it's incredibly educational. One of the things to note is that it talks about crisis alpha. So the idea there is that in periods of market tumult, trend following will perform better. It will outperform, will provide alpha in times of crisis. And they demonstrate, empirically in the book, how trend following strategies, do very well and can augment your portfolio in times of market crisis. Another interesting idea that comes up in this book is the idea of convergent versus divergent risk-taking, which is something that I had read about before but didn't fully appreciate. This book really did open my eyes to it. Trend following is a divergent strategy, whereas something like value investing is more of a convergent strategy, where you assume that a stock that's undervalued or overvalued will revert to the mean value at some point. Whereas in a divergent betting scheme, you're more looking at like outlier tail events happening. So in the case of trend following, you're placing bets and taking lots of small losses, but hoping to find big winners that will pay for it all. So that's another interesting idea. The other thing that I really liked about this book is peppered throughout it are references to behavioral finance. So one of the last books I reviewed was Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. I've reviewed a number of other sort of behavioral finance and trading psychology books, and it's an area of real interest. And the kind of cool thing about this book is that it is really rigorous and scientific in the approach, and really kind of quantifies and validates some of these behavioral finance issues, and shows how trend following can kind of put behavioral finance in your favor, or at least, protect you from some of the biases that you might experience if you weren't totally systematic in your investing. So those are some of the key concepts in here. There's also a history of trend following. The book starts out looking at 800 years of market data and how trend following has performed well over that entire period. So it is really compelling. If you are wanting to do a deep dive on trend following, or if you're an institutional investor looking to learn more about it or looking to allocate into trend following, then I highly recommend Trend Following with Managed Futures. Definitely worth checking out. If you want a little bit more information on this great book, I encourage you to just hit the link below this video. It'll take you through to stockideas.org. There's a much more in-depth written book review there, so you can see, learn even more about this book. You can also click through to Amazon from there and pick up a copy for yourself, or just even check out more of the reviews there. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this is everything you wanted to know about trend following with managed futures. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'll be back at you soon with more book reviews, and don't forget to visit stockideas.org. Thanks very much for watching.